Greetings and salutations. Hi, I'm Karen Rosmer, and thank you for joining me this evening. I'll make a noise, but you're gonna have to get over that. Really annoying, but anyway. It's not annoying with the noise, it's the fact that I've had to unplug something that's basically the Xbox 360 wireless controller. It's got a USB stick that you stick in the front to handle the wireless part of it. And every time I unplug the damn thing and plug it back in again, it takes an age to find the Xbox controller. And it's like, why? It shouldn't be that difficult. But it is, so it's a problem for later me. I really could do with some more USB ports somewhere around, but there's more on the back of the computer, but I can't plug things into the back of the computer because I'm always having to change around the wires. And yeah, I'm always having to change around the wires, and I don't want to get on my hands and knees to change out the wires for a lot of these things. Plus, as well, you know, it's like this, for example. I can barely get it on camera. My e-cigarette, it's plugged in at the moment, and it's not a long enough wire to actually get on camera, and it's not that far away. I think that's a little over to the side. Let's bring you to here. I don't think that's going to make enough of a difference. But yeah, it's plugged in, and you can't see it, but there's a wire. And so even if I did plug that into the back of the computer, it's not going to reach the front of the computer for me to actually use it. So that is a issue. But I have to keep switching these things in and out. And yeah, but I got no other ports. I know that I could probably get hold of a USB hub and sort of like plug that into the back and bring that to the desk and power it so that it's not got too much loss on the attenuation of the wires, blah blah blah, but it's one of them that just not got round to doing it. Oh well. Any port in the storm, huh? Pretty much. Hi J-Station, how's it going? So yeah, this is session 17. I want to say 17. I'm pretty sure it's 17. Hopefully it's 17 because I got really confused launching it. It's like, okay, I read my document and it said that I'd completed session 16. Then I nearly went live with session 16. Corrected it to 17, and then it's like went back to the document and I'm pretty sure it said 16, not 15, but I don't remember. So everything's confusing. My title says 17. Well, that's close enough. It only really matters too much when it gets over to YouTube, you know, and I try to just have this as little effort as possible of just click and gone, and then I just queue it up in YouTube to be released. But if I've ever made a mess of the titles or anything like that, I've then got to correct it when it gets over to YouTube. Not a major issue, it's not difficult to do, I just need to remember that it needs to be done. Or else I'll get somebody in the comments saying, where's session 17? And it's like, I don't know. Used to be worse than when I was doing it on Pathfinder Kingmaker, because those would get messed around somewhat. And I wasn't as prompt as I was doing it, so I wouldn't see it for a couple of weeks and then realise I'd just totally forgot to export a video from Twitch. And it has gone into the ether. Oof. And never to be returned. So yeah, if you do use my YouTube, is Nightbot around? Nightbot should usually say something about now. Nightbot, say YouTube. Job. There we go. Nightbot is around and is aware. I think I actually put in some other stuff, but I can't remember. Did I give it? I think it might just be on a roller, so it'll automatically pop up. Because one of the things that I've realized, yeah, it should eventually prompt and call itself out. One of the things that I've noticed with both Pillars of Eternity and some of the other games, content warning, is that there are some things that, yeah, it's not so much it doesn't really bother me. It just, to a certain degree, I appreciate that some people might be bothered by these things. So I've trying to get commands in there to cycle round. Hey, Mike, to let them know some of the potential things that'll come up in the game that might concern people. And by having that, you can go off to the website that it'll put in. The website is named Does the Dog Die? And you can see, if you click through to that, it should give you a list of commonly concerning content that you might not want to be subjected to. And if you don't, then check out the list, see if it's got that, and avoid the game. And it's one of them where it's like, if you don't like it in the game that I'm playing at the moment, I do hope that you'll join the Discord and see when I play a different game and come back. But at the same token, it's like such as visually graphic skinning of animals. Yes, I do believe if you look at Red Dead Redemption in Does the Dog Die, it will basically say Dubry what's it. But not only does the dog die, but also there's animals dying, the skinning of animals, and it's fairly graphic. So if that bothers you, don't watch Red Dead Redemption. Does the dog die? And if it's a Red Dead Redemption, it'll be skinned too. I'm not sure if you can actually skin a dog in Red Dead Redemption 2. It's not something that I feel that many people would try out. But yeah, and it's not just about animals or anything like that. There's things like damaged teeth, cannibalism, amputations. Does a parent die? Are there clowns? Is someone being stalked? Is there audio gore? Is there vomiting? Does somebody have an eating disorder? Is anybody is a mentally ill person violent? Does anyone self-harm? Does a baby cry? Does a pregnant woman die? Just a whole host of questions that it's like, if I feel I'm not bothered by a lot of things that happen in video games. I can pretty much disassociate between video game and real life in that manner, but I can appreciate that for some people it's just too harrowing of an experience to simply dismiss by disassociation. So I'm gonna start trying to put in the content warnings. Evening mic, how goes it? New mic setup, nice. Testing on stream. How's my evening going? I'm going okay. My voice is starting to be a little bit weird. It sounds weird. Is this weird? But where was I going with this? Otherwise, I'm okay. Next stream sorted there for J-Station. He's going to murder a dog and try and skin it, and you can all look forward to that. J-Station will be streaming that on Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. UK time. Yes, that's weird. Your voice, not so much. Wait, what's weird? The fact that I whisper into the mic occasionally, or I don't know. The way that I look when I'm whispering into the mic? How about now? You'll pay top dollar for some streamers to be ASMR. I think that's ASMR. Like that. I personally don't get it. And I seem very low at the moment. Let's try and bring the camera down a little. There we go. Where are those content warnings when you need them? I mean, you can't content warning this. I'm already covered by the mature rating. If you need anything more than that, what the hell are you doing on my channel? Or anybody's channel. If the streamer is bothering you, you know, just leave. It's not difficult. There's a little X in the corner of all your windows. It doesn't matter whether it's Mac OS or Windows or Linux. There'll be a little cross. You just click on it and poof, they're gone. Anyway, alright. Game. Pillars of Eternity. I am getting somewhere. I think I've figured out what the pillars are. I think the pillars are those machines that are absorbing souls. Kind of whispering into your ear like a voice in your head telling you to do daft things in life. I mean, I generally come with a content warning that my advice should not be taken. But here's what I recommend, which is not always a great idea. You know, if you're having a problem with your computer, try hitting it with a hammer. Might not solve the problem, but at least then you know what a problem is. Somebody hit it with a hammer. Don't hit your computers with hammers, people. Unless you really want to. Anyway, right, so, I think I cleared a bunch of side quests up, and then I'd gotten around a little bit to following the main quest, and I think I'd come back to Defiance Bay to try to discuss a main quest with the cipher who's very good at telling me about these things, and then we're going to see where it goes from there. But I think the pillars are the machines that are absorbing souls. I need to show you guys a game. How's that? Can you see the game? Hope so. Yay! So yeah, it's going okay. I don't know how far I am through this. Still can't see any pillars. I mean, I'm assuming you can see the game okay, which reminds me something. I'm kind of curious. I don't want to look this up because it might be a bit spoilerific, but if anybody wants to look up roughly how far I'm through the game, I'm at the Hallowing of the Drywood, the Hermit of Hadra House, yeah, just as a rough idea. I mean, you know, it's one of them where it's like we can't guarantee how many chapters there are, or we can say how many chapters there are, but we don't know how long the chapters are going to be. But at the same token, you know, if I'm still in the first third of chapters, then we've got quite a way to go. If I'm on the second to last chapter, then even if the last one is a long one, it's not very far to go. So do we have all of that? Do everybody wants it detailed there? There's also a lot of, you know, there's tasks that need to be done. There's, Heritage Hill. I need to go to Heritage Hill at some point before I leave town. There's quests to be done. There's White March, which I'm probably going to try and do. It's probably going to be one of the first DLCs that I've explicitly done. You know, I had DLCs for approximately 3/4 if it is all spread out equally. As in some chapters not being 4 times the length of others. Cool. Hey Maddox, hey Saber, it's going okay. So I'm I'm about 75% of the way through as that J station. That kind of surprises me. I don't yet feel like I know enough about what's going on to justify this coming to an end. The other thing that's all like slightly concerns me is I know that the maximum level for this game is it was like 12, and the White March and the White March Part 2 added 2 additional levels on. So that means I've got 4 levels to go in 25% left of the game. Fair enough, Saber. I hope you're feeling better soon. Brain just farted and everything that I was going to say is left. But yes, I hope everybody's doing okay. I hope you feel better soon. And we are going to be talking to Lady Webb.
How fares your search?
There is something I can tell you about the Leaden Keys operations.
Well, let's hear it.
The Leaden Keys is manipulating a group of intriguing machines that span the country. It seems to be causing the Hollowborn epidemic.
I had feared they might be involved in Widewind's legacy. It seemed too extreme even for them. How naive I've been. The Leaden Keys conspiracy is clear now. They have used Engwithan technology to engineer Widewind's legacy, and they want people to blame Animancy for it. As we speak, the Duke is holding hearings in the palace. He is listening to arguments for and against Animancy. When they finish, he is expected to decide whether to outlaw it. It seems the Leaden Key has been pushing Deerwood down this path for some time. I, for one, would enjoy seeing their little scheme fouled up at the last moment. Our Duke must hear what you have to say. Unfortunately, the hearings are closed to the public, which makes the Duke inaccessible until they are completed.
Yeah, thanks for that confirmation, Maddox. Yeah, Saber, it all kind of depends a little bit on how your general recovery is locally. There's also a lot of experience in Act 3. Fair enough. Yeah, this is the thing. It's like this is my first playthrough of the game. Don't really know what's going on. It wasn't until session 16, the last session, where I figured out these might actually be what are the pillars. Despite the fact that the game's called Pillars of Eternity, and it's like, all right, what are they then? And not really knowing. Although you do see one pretty much in the prologue, so maybe that's supposed to give it away. I'm very oblivious of these things.
However, certain groups have been invited to attend. You might get in with one of them if you aren't above a little pandering. There are delegations from the Knights of the Crucible, the Dozens, and from House Dominel. If you can gain the support of one of those groups, that may be your best way in. See what you can arrange.
I want to discuss the Animancy Hearings at the palace.
What of them?
Why wouldn't they allow a guest of Dunrow House into the hearings?
We would only do that as a last resort. Walking in with one of the 3 invited groups puts you in a position of influence. Walking in alone as a representative of Dunreed Row would earn you distrust among all the rest. It seems our organization has a reputation for nosiness and manipulation, for whatever reason.
She glances to one side.
It would be best if people did not see Dunreed Row's hand in this. Easier for them to embrace the truth.
What is there to know about the Duke?
Avar is many things to many people, and that is why he sits the throne. To the frontiersmen, he is one of their own. To the patriotic, he is a sole descendant of Admeth Hadrit. To the nobility, he is from an old and established family. All of these are half-truths or exaggerations, a tale he has spun around himself. The man behind the tale may not be the greatest mind in Deerwood, but he knows people. He knows when they are sincere and when they lie. He knows when they are strong and when they are weak. The other matters he leaves to me. Outwardly, he prefers to come off a bit of a simpleton. Don't be fooled. Before he was a duke, he was a trapper, and an excellent one at that.
Farewell.
Of course.
Right, yeah, so it's one of them where it's like I feel like I've done some of this stuff out of sync because they're sort of like, oh, you need to go to the one of the three groups and convince them that you're somebody that they should support, and I've already kind of allied myself with one. I don't know how much more there is to do. It might give me another quest or something. Anyway, I'm just going to go to Heritage Hill. I know that I'm supposed to probably be busy with that and making sure that Animancy isn't banned and terrible things don't happen, but I got this task. He knows when they are sleeping. Morrowind vibes. How do you mean Morrowind vibes? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Is it the Vantalis? You go to the Vantalis Mausoleum, yes. Valtas. Or are you just yeah. I mean, it's one of them where it's like any game. This is the thing. It's like there's factions in the game. I get that. It's not. I don't feel unique to Morrowind. So I wouldn't make that assumption myself. But yeah, it's very much. There always seems to be so few factions to throw your lot in with. Run away! A trap was triggered.
These wounds run deep.
An iridescent scarab figurine. This Adra figurine is shaped like a small beetle. Its colourful shell catches light in strange ways, changing hues as it turns in one's hand. Summon Adra beetle. You can have a trinket. Oh, is that once a day? Once per rest. Oh, okay.
Hey.
It's one of that. I didn't know if it was an expendable object, and then it would have been like, I don't really ever want to use it. The vaults are sealed shut and sticky with cobwebs. Nestled amongst the candles are odds and ends of patchwork family memorial. Valalian luces, a cameo etched of the woman in finery, and a turquoise necklace. A little girl cowers at the back of a tomb. Her face is streaked with dirt, and even in the shadows you can tell she is far too thin. She watches you, holding her breath. It's all right. You're safe. She inches to the candlelight. Her clothes are little more than filthy rags now, but the ripped and stained fabrics looks like embroidered silk. You have to be quiet. Noise brings the hungry people. Sangi stands stock still, looking at the girl as if at a wounded rabbit. Archuk's shadow. Looks like she's been through. Looks like she's been on her own for weeks. My name is Seda. Are you hiding from them too? She watches the door of the vault, her eyes wide and careful. You're Seda? I came across some draguls in a house. The girl's eyes widen. You saw mother and father and Elmlo. How did you get away? Let's not worry about that right now. We should focus on getting out of here. She picks at a thumbnail watching you, and she nods slowly. You need to get out of here. Is it safe? Are the hungry people out there? I've turned off the machine that makes the hungry people come back. You can leave. Thank you. She gives a quick hug and runs for the door. I got a feeling I should probably have escorted her somewhere. But that's it. You know, it's like find the kid and say, hey, it's safe outside, and then they go running off into the sunset. I mean, sure. Between the three great houses and the whole thing about the interpretation of Nitherine by the tribes, it just reminded me of that. Yeah. Right, you get invited to one of the Animancy Hearings delegations. Okay. Well, I've thrown my lot in with the Crucible Knights. So let's go see if they want, and they'll just allow me to join the delegation, or whether they're going to be like, you're not allowed. There, that's a nice lady who helped me. And thank the Iron Arm for it. We'll get you sorted out at the keep. But yeah, I feel that the whole Morrowind thing, it was a lot more developed. You know, you really did need to throw your lot in with one of the houses to really get a lot of content out of it. This, it seems to be they're very minor factions. There might be more to them. I'm just not 100% sure. It does seem a little bit weird to me that it's I've basically done 3 jobs for the Crucible Knights. Gone and retrieved some design documents, delivered them, took care of the problem that the design documents created, and then... Oh no. I brought them the design documents. They created one of the automatons. I was supposed to deliver it to this other guy, but totally failed at that, because I ended up dead because of an ambush. Came back, the place had multiple automatons and took care of them, and now I'm sort of like their best friends, which it feels a little bit hollow, if you ask me. In Morrowind, it was more so you did get a genuine feel that you were working for the place. I don't know who I'm supposed to see about this. I'm guessing it's a head honcho kind of person. Certainly made you do the legwork. Yeah. Cleaver, that's it. I understand that the Crucible Knights are attending the Animancy Hearings at the palace.
Indeed. Duke Avar looks to the Knights for prudent counsel as well as defense. I suspect our future as a city and a nation will depend in no small part on how we handle this matter.
What do you think about Animancy? We'd be fools not to investigate it further. I've seen what those researchers in Brackenbury can do, building constructs, diagnosing soul maladies, harnessing raw essence. There's great potential. Detractors say it's too dangerous, that it angers the gods, superstition and nonsense. There are risks to delving into souls, of course, but the greater risk lies in doing nothing at all while the legacy eats away at us. Tell me about the hearings. He gives you a rough frown. They're progressing slower than I'd like. It doesn't raise a ruckus whenever anyone so much as mentions Animancy, and the Domodels are obfuscating matters on purpose. Nevertheless, I'm confident Avadar will see reason eventually. I need an audience with Duke Avar. I'd like to attend the hearings. And we'll be glad to have you with us. Avar will no doubt find your presence persuasive, and we need all possible support to see that he gives Animancy a fair chance. Indeed. I love the way you can say indeed and lie about it. Was there something else I can do for you? No? Goodbye. Go to journey to Brackenbury and speak with Lady Webbs about returning... Oh, Jesus. This is one of them parts that I don't like. Animancy. I mean, if you don't know now, J-Station, I think you should just play the game yourself and enjoy the mystery and mystique of not knowing what Animancy is. But I suspect that you're just being silly. For the sake of a terrible, terrible pun. I'm surprised that my cat hasn't congratulated you on something yet. What? Yes, you. It is Brackenbury, isn't it? Animancy is essentially soul magic that is utilized in the world of Pillars of Eternity. And people suspect that is annoying the deities, and so the deities are punishing us by making children hollowborn. Hollowborn is that. Children are born without souls, and without a soul they don't survive very long. I was eating, but that was fantastic play by J-Station. And then Jason Station thanks Maggot for his terrible, terrible puns.
How fares your search?
If I'm going to do this for you, I think it's time you told me everything about Theos.
I've told you everything you need to know.
But not everything.
It's only right that you know everything. When I was younger, before Dunreed Row, I had many suitors. These were fine-looking men of good stock, but I could see their thoughts, and they were unimpressive. Boys' thoughts. I toyed with their affections. I resented all of them. And then I met a man whose mind was a mystery to me. But he understood me. He knew me at a glance, told me things I didn't know about myself. He was neither handsome nor charming. He was all I ever wanted.
You're talking about Theos.
We made a game of my gift. He would ask me about people, and I would tell him what they were thinking. Sometimes the information was very sensitive. And then one day he asked me if I trusted him. I said I did. Next I knew I was donning a silver mask and swearing oaths to Woodica. Using my gift for the leaden key still felt like a game to me, so I did it. I did it because it pleased him.
But it didn't last.
I don't like living in the dark. It's a powerless, hopeless feeling. Every day I did things without knowing their purpose. Every day I loved a man without knowing his thoughts of me. I sensed that there were things he wanted to tell me. I sensed that he knew everything the leaden key was created to hide. But Theos was unyielding. One day I disappeared without a word. He would kill me for it, and I knew that. It's their rule. I just wanted to see him plunge the knife, because then I would know. But the day never came. He has left me to wonder. I have devoted my years to learning everything I could about him, in hopes I would find some clue as to who he really was, and why he felt he had to keep his secrets locked away. I have precious little to show for it. Just an old woman nagged by old thoughts. And that is truly everything I can tell you about Theos. I hope you will accept this embarrassing story as a show of my good faith.
I mean, it's a story. It's terribly cliche, but okay. I want to discuss the Animancy Hearings at the palace.
What of them?
The Crucible Knights have accepted me into their delegation.
Good. Avar Wolfgren looks to the Crucible Knights as a voice of reason and order. Speaking from their section should lend you credibility with him. You need waste no more time here. Get to the palace. Make your case to the Duke. With him on our side, all of Deerwood can be mobilized against the leaden key, and Theos can be rooted out. I only wish I could be there to see it. There is a very old bottle of a very good brandy that I have been saving for a special day. If you hurry back afterward, there may be a little left for you. Off with you. You're going to do very well in there.
I want to discuss the Animancy Hearings at the
What
palace.
else, then?
Nope, nothing else. Alright. This is, I mentioned when I'd done the first part of this, which is go to the Crucible Knights and say, hey, will you let me in your delegation? And it's like, yes. And it's like, okay, now run all the way back that you came to speak to this old lady about, what you need to do. And then run all the way back to the Ducal Palace to do what you needed to do. Why couldn't she have just told me it's like once you have a delegation, once you've been invited to one of by one of the...
Hey, pig! Woo, pig! Look at him with his little tail.
Once you've been invited in by one of the delegations, then straight up just deal with it rather than having to go running back. Morrowind. I don't recall it being as bad in Morrowind, although I do recall there was some of it. But I felt a lot of the tasks in that were more discreet, more, this is a thing that we need you to do, and only by the details that you've been given could they know what your next step would be. In this case, it was like, yeah, just go out, speak to one of them, get invited to the delegation. Alright, done that. Alright, now you've done that, need you to do the thing. But again, I feel this is one of them where it's like I might have been doing things slightly out of turn, where joining, the way that the fetch quests are laid out in Morrowind makes the fetching actually much more engaging. But I have a feeling to a certain degree I wasn't supposed to go down this route of doing the whole side questing for this faction until the point that they actually said, oh, go out and get in on one of them delegations, and then you would be doing the running around and say, can I join the delegation? And it's like, yes, you may. And then it's like, okay, great stuff. Now go back and inform Lady Webb. So there will be a significant amount of time. I could have told Lady Webb, it's like, I'm going to approach the Knights of the Crucible because I'm on good terms with them. She would have been, oh, that'd be good, blah blah blah, and then it'd be Crucible Knights straight to the palace. This was a lot of running around for no real reason. Minor things. Oh yes, I remember. Among the kind wayfarers, in the event of the member of the order dies of natural causes, it is customary for the paladin to request burial in a dangerous place that is difficult to reach. In fulfilling their lost comrade's request, the other kind wayfarers forge new paths that others may follow more easily. When the elder paladin Adram Delphar died, his brothers and sisters set out for Red Flower Lake in the remote part of the Riadceres, but they never reached their destination. With so few kind wayfarers left in that part of the Eastern Reach, the Order has reached out for assistance in recovering their comrades and in helping see them to their resting place. The road to Red Flower Lake turned out to be even more dangerous than the elders of the kind wayfarers had expected. They believed that the attack against Adram and Delphar's funeral procession had been carried out by ogres. Instead, Kana and the kind wayfarers initiates discovered eotans, twisted two-headed ogres of incredible size and ferocity. Recovering the paladin's bodies was costly, with 5 more initiates dying in the process. In the end, Kana and 7 kind wayfarers reached Red Flower Lake. There, they held a service of Adram and Delphar and the others that died to make their way to the summit. On the way back down, the initiates placed marker cairns along the trail to indicate when it would have been cleared by the kind wayfarers and at what cost. Got some XPs and an average reward. Which is a pair of boots. We got Harivas assigned to investigating that one. And there... Oh yes, I paid them to do a thing, and they're going to be finished in a day and 10 hours. I'm sorry, do I need to go back to the keep for that? I don't think I can make it in time. But no, I've already dealt with it. Did I say evening to All Things Geek Girl? I think I did. I'm not sure. I meant to. Hello, welcome in. How's it going? Do I talk to you? No. Do I walk up to this door and say hello? The place has been reserved for you on the balcony, Kashra. Go to the upper floor. How does one get to the upper floor? We received word from Commander Cleaver that you will be attending Kashra. The balcony has been opened for you. The room below is animated amidst a heated debate. All of the representative groups are easily discerned in the crowd. Crucible Knights, stiff in their noisy armor, sit in one section. In another are well-dressed members of the House Domadels, casual, watching with a predator's interest. Still elsewhere are the ramshackle dozens, who have made no special effort to dress up for their liege lord. Interspersed are animancers in their academic robes with expressions either sour or concerned.
Well then, answer me this, Master Barash. If you animancers represent our best hope to cure the legacy, what progress can you demonstrate?
The back of a chamber sits the Duke, sprawled in his throne, worn down but alert and feisty nonetheless.
Is originally from Palminia. He's one of the finest minds in Animancy to come out of the Valiant Republics. He left for Defiance Bay 5 years ago because he believed this was the true heart of Animancy research.
Pellegina's words, and the way she looks at her countrymen, you sense both pride and a mild sense of frustration.
As I've said, it isn't about progress, it's about potential.
My house would agree, Your Grace. We see great potential in its future.
And I suppose your blazing profits during the Legacy don't have nothing to do with that, do they, Dominel? You can't have it both ways no more! Animancy goes, or this country goes!
Who the hell are you?
So you admit, Master Baras, that Animancy is no closer to stopping the Legacy than it ever was?
No, we've had many promising experiments. Cadman Azo has shown...
Cadman Azo murdered a child. For a complete failure. We should be hanging him right now for what he done. The dozens won't stand for it.
The experiment failed, yes, but his work...
His work was sabotaged.
Ah, our new delegate from the Knights of the Crucible. What makes you say sabotage?
All at once, the attendees turn their faces towards you. A mishmash of judgment and incredulity. Only the Duke, a wild-looking man with a straggly beard, seems unfazed by your interruption. I met a false patient in Brackenbury Sanitarium who had tampered with Azo's machinery.
The fuck's that even matter? These are people who would toy with the lives of our children.
Indeed. Even assuming there was sabotage, is this Animancer Azo not still accountable here?
This is no Bale Reach incident. This is a responsible scientist who was manipulated. Olaf whispers between gritted teeth. How can you call him responsible? You stole the state of a sanitarium.
Horseshit. These Animancers can't be trusted. Look at what happened in Heritage Hill. Our supposed protectors from Crucible Keep can't even clean up the messes Animancy leaves.
Your Grace, we'd have a much easier time of it if our knights weren't so occupied trying to keep their organization from igniting a revolution on our very doorstep.
Heritage Hill is blood on your hands, Justicia. You turn a blind eye and look what happens.
The Crucible Knights are blameless here. This was not the workings of Animancy, but an ancient device in Tir Nauneth.
You've some strange taste in travels, friend. The height of your tales expands with every breath.
My word is my oath. I challenge anyone here to find someone who knows different.
I had heard whispers of a new delegate set to attend today's hearing. I admit that your candor was mentioned more than once.
It is all kicking off. It's one of them where it's like, I'm likely to be executed if this goes badly for me, but hey, you know, why not?
Tell us what you saw in Heritage Hill.
Tir Nauneth houses an Enwigan machine that holds domain over the flow of souls. It was this machine that made the district undead.
Even if it is as you say, we have testimony that a group of Animancers had been spending time there. Surely their tinkering had something to do with this.
Their presence doesn't prove cause. This testimony is not evidence. It is a yes.
Animancy has many enemies. You need only look around this room to see it.
You're missing the point. Everywhere there's animancers, there's disaster.
Everywhere there's people, there's a disaster.
We all know what Whitewind's legacy's really about. And it ain't about some sparkling saint from Creed Ceres who's mad because he took a stroll down the wrong bridge. It's about a bunch of so-called intellectuals fucking with the natural order while the rest of us gotta suffer for it.
This guy's going all in on the voiceover. I mean, I'm feeling it. You know, it's like they're going all in, but I am feeling it. This Edric Morley is little more than a thug, and his points are failing.
Is it, though? Should we not take the time to reach a clear conclusion? I mean, what proof do we have?
My son and daughter are buried beneath the floor of my house. We don't own no land, so that's where we lay them. My son, my wife let him slip when she was bathing him. Got water in his lungs he couldn't cough up. My daughter, we put her to bed one night, and the next morning she wasn't breathing. This Hollowborn thing, it ain't ending. And it ain't ending because we still let these charlatans play God. There's your proof, you damn copper fucker.
Enough, Adric. Lady Dominel makes a point. If it's animancy, then why do the other states that permit the practice not suffer the same fate? Who among us can say he truly understands why the legacy has taken hold here?
That would be I. The grieving vote reaches towards your mind with hers. Bring order to the chaos here. I can. The crowd begins to mutter, and the sound taking a doubtful character. Wadelin's legacy is a creation of the Leaden Key. Saidman Izo's downfall was their work, as was the tower in Heritage Hill. They want you to do this. They want Animancy to fall. The dull muttering expands into din of skepticism that fills the hall. I have seen them in the ruins of Air Glenfarth, operating machinery that disrupts and redirects the flow of souls. Near the towns like Gilded Vale and Dryford, where the legacy is universal. As a watcher, I have heard their dead confess their plot. They are stealing the souls of the unborn.
Beasts. Another lunatic at the hearing. Did you remember to lock your sanitarium before you left, Master Barask?
You're supposed to be on my side. You're the Crucible Knight. Wow, these are some hot takes. These are some straight up vicious ones. If he did, for your husband's sake, I hope he left. He at least left the brothel unlocked. What? You shame your order by dismissing the truth before hearing it, madam. I expected better from a knight of the Crucible. Yeah, these are a whole collection, and they're just right across the range of just fucking trying to destroy somebody without much thought being put into it. I mean, please, I only want to help Drywood. That kind of works, but it's not really addressing the issue. If, as the Duke says, no theory has more proof than any other, what is the harm of hearing one more? That's just fanning the flames by saying, hey, here's another crazy idea to debate. And that one's just dismissive. So I think I'm going to go with this one. You shame your order by dismissing the truth before hearing it, madam. I expected better from a knight of the Crucible.
You must know, friend, that the leaden key is a mantle for small-time ruffians and children at play. I'm not saying you're a liar. Not yet. But you'd better start making sense of all this. Help us believe you.
Some of these don't really make sense. What's more likely, that the gods are destroying Direwood for a science practice in many parts of the world, or that a group of people hates Animancy and wants it suppressed? The leaden key is very real. They are foreigners from Adra and Redad Ceres who hate Direwood and want to see it suffer. Let's say Lord is cuckolded by his wife. If he tells her to stop, she only wants her lover more. But if he spreads a rumor that her lover has just visited a brothel and acquired a pox on his loins, she'll end it on her own. What? We all want the same thing here. We want Waidwen's legacy to end. If we work together instead of arguing, we can stop the people who are doing this. If you know anything about me, you know this. I have been called many things, but never a liar. An honest witness is the best piece of evidence you have in this matter. I mean, that last one's not even convincing in itself. It's like, yes, I am honest. Therefore, what I say is fact. What more evidence do you need? I mean, I appreciate to a certain degree there's not really much more evidence that they need. Because video games, I've spent the game being honest, so I've got an honesty of 3, which allows me to get away with saying that and just being accepted, but I don't know which one of these is. But you better start making sense of this. Help us believe you. I mean, my personal argument here is like, based on what I have seen and what I have done, it isn't the Animancers. It's the leaden key. Banning Animancy isn't going to change anything. But help me further with the leaden key and maybe something change? I don't know. I've never been very good at debate. I'm going to go with the honesty one because it's like, I've spent a lot of time not lying, so honesty of 3 is great. If you know anything about me, you know this. I have been called many things, but never a liar. An honest witness is the best piece of evidence you have in all this matter.
The only piece of evidence.
The only piece of evidence that doesn't send your kind to the gallows, you mean?
You've made an unexpected case, friend. I'll say that much. It seems we have a new possibility to consider at the very least. How was it you came to learn all this?
I took a personal interest in the matter and tried to learn what I could.
Indeed. This land is foreign to you, unless I miss my guess. Your efforts on its behalf are to be commended. But these hearings are about more than Widewind's legacy, even though that is our most pressing concern. Let's say for the moment that I were to take you at your word that our friends in Brackenbury Sanitarium and their peers bear no responsibility for this curse upon my country. I'm curious, what would you do if you were in my position?
Bum. I would allow the Animancers to continue their work. They explore questions we all wish to understand. If we'd have known more, perhaps this crisis could have been averted. A face-stilled Pellegrino looks your way and subtly nods in approval. Alaf shakes his head. Animancers serve their own ambitions and their own purses. Giving them this power is like setting a child loose in an armory. I do not trust these Animancers, seeking first after gain and glory. But if they can heal our children, I would not hinder them.
Very well. That is all I wish to hear. Not just from you, but from everyone. Many days we've been at this. It is time we put it to rest. I want to thank the delegations for helping me to collect my thoughts. In particular, I want to thank our new delegate, who has given me much to think about, and who alerted me to a new enemy I had failed to see. The time has come to choose a direction for the Deerwood. I am ready to make my pronouncement.
Dun dun.
Premier de Barash, representing the interests of Animancers in Deerwood, step forward.
Your Grace.
We're about to see a murder, folks.
It occurs to me now that my concerns about Animancy may not outweigh its value.
Forgive me, Your Grace. We will accept no judgment but our own.
What's he doing? No! Avenge the
No, wait!
Stop this!
Told you we were about to see a murder.
I've given you every chance to end this pursuit. Shall I end it for you?
There goes the neighborhood.
Another time. I am already late.
The words, "Shall I end it for you?" ring in your ears, but you find yourself grasping for breath, struggling to keep your own balance. You drop to a knee and watch as Theos hurries out of the building. The world dims around you, the screams and clashing of weapons fading to silence. All that remains are the words.
Shall I end it for you?
Theos stands at the pulpit high above an assembly of robed onlookers. You among them, clustered around a wide circular pit carved of stone. He addresses a woman bound backwards over a large iron wheel overlooking a great stone moor. Many of the woman's fingers and toes are severed, and the bottoms of her feet are charred black. The skin on one side of her face looks like The skin on one side of her face looks like melted candle wax, black and red and seeping, and the angle of her back suggests her spine in ruins. Yet, for all of that, her expression betrays little of her anguish.
I am already at peace, Grand Inquisitor. Are you?
Her eyes are barely open and her words come between strangled breaths, but they are steady, unbroken.
So be it. If you desire no end, you shall have none. I find you guilty of heresy. May the eternal prison bar your soul from passage, for it is beyond redemption.
He nods to a hooded attendant who begins untying her from the wheel. Not even 47 walks out that calmly after killing. I mean, not when I'm in charge. That's usually because I've just walked up to the guy, slaughtered them, and then decided, yeah, that's enough. Run! Kasher was granted dominion over the sleepers. You open your eyes to a beaming ceiling of this. You open your eyes to the beamed ceiling of the palace's grand entryway. The clangs of metal striking metal wafts from the outside, alongside the cries of the injured as you stagger to your feet. Theos is gone. Ida leans in, his head upside down in your sight as he peers down at you from above. Hey, you alive? He looks over you, frowning. Can you move? We shouldn't stick around. When Dryer wouldn't get stirred up like that, they like to start burning things. Off to one side, you hear the clinking rustle of chainmail, and you look over to see a wounded guard slumped by the wall. He's trying to say something, seemingly directed at you, but at first it is too faint to hear. He gathers his breath and manages to rasp out a few words. Lady Webb. She's the only one. She must be told. She'll know what to do. Please, find her. Tell her everything. The guard passes out and slides to the floor, still. Dun dun dun. Hey Sidley, don't go out there, there's rioting in the streets. Is this a side door? I think this is a side door. Not allowed in there. Unlocking this will require the proper key, and apparently the guards had time to. Hey, Retro Ted. Oh God, there's a lot of CRPG. They give a wisecrack and make their entrance. TTBRG. I fireball at them. My movement speed is 50. I run for them. I want to chase them. Begin to run. Can we follow their tracks? I roll survival. I have a rope. Can I try to lasso one? I know. I sit in the now empty throne. Okay, Retro Ted, how's it going? Gonna lurk while they play Shadowrun. Or Runner. You missed a standard session of Parliament. Sounds interesting. I mean, there was a murder. There was lots of murder. But yes, welcome in, Retro Ted, and enjoy the look. See, funny thing is, everybody has been so like, every time they're so like, I'm just gonna look. So they type in !look, and I let it be. And now that Dubry wants it, Flibbity Flob, I don't even know if it works. Now that I've actually put in a command for lurking, nobody's bothering to look. Did that actually work? I don't think that's it. See, I didn't even know if it was working or not. Yeah, I'll have to have another look at that. I did give it a try, it's not working. Oh well. All of the murder or just some of the murder? I mean, there was a lot of murder. Hey rioters, enjoy your evening. Wow, they really just go to town burning the rocks, because see him at the sanatorium. I'm afraid I can't allow you to murder this guy. I know. I apparently can't do anything other than let you murder the guy. Right, well, not allowed to go that way. These lot are in league with the Animancers. I mean, I love the way that they don't even care that I've killed one of their number. Commoner. Commoner. Kill still. Like a hippie. Hey, they finally woke up to the fact that I'm killing some of their members. Alright, is it down this way that I need to go? I saved the Justicars at least. CRPG, this guy is murdered, TTBIG. They murder the guy. Guy is murdered. It's not kill stealing, it's kill securing. This is bullshit. It's one of them things. I do get it when it comes to it's that loss of agency where, you know, in a video game it's perfectly acceptable for things to play out like it's a movie, like you see events unfolding and you can't react. I do feel it's bullshit in some cases because it's like there's literally nothing I can do here. But in that one, it was like that's why you were put into the balcony rather than invited into the main room. You can't, you know, you were running down the stairs after leaving there, and something happened. You know, they tried to make sense of why you weren't able to just immediately do something. And we're at a sort of like tabletop, a number of times an event unfolds, and it's like, I would like to do a thing right now, and the GM, for the sake of narrative, has to be sort of like, there's nothing you can do. And it's a little bit weird at times, because it's like, but why is there nothing that I can do? And you just have to kind of accept that the GM is trying to make something of it. But that loss of agency can be annoying. At times. Especially if it's something where it doesn't make sense. It's easy in a sci-fi setting. It's you know, you just put some bulletproof glass between you and them, and ta-da! Everybody's dead. Not all storytelling can allow for the player's agency. Some things need to happen. Yeah. But it's making the situation tenable and removing the illusion of choice, then stating what happens. Then allowing the players to follow up in whatever manner they want. You know, and there's many ways of doing that. You know, it's like, let's say, for example, in Starfinder, you want somebody to be killed and the players not to be able to do something about it. You kill them off camera, and then the players arrive. Rather than killing them in front of the players, and then the players being so like, I want to do something about this, and it's like, you can't, because removing your agency. And there's certain things that you can do, such as hold person so that the players can't move. If they succeed on the saving throw for that, you bludgeon them to unconsciousness, and that can be very time consuming and or bullshit, as you mentioned, because I remember in Adventure League there was a situation where we were supposed to be caught by a group of I want to say Murlocs. They're not Murlocs, they are not Sahagin. I've forgotten what they were. Essentially fish people. And you need, for the narrative to work, you need to be captured by these fish people, because they're going to capture you and then take you back to their place and then sacrifice you to their god. How do you play that out at a tabletop without just overwhelming them, the players? And that's what essentially the narrative called for, was you just kept on throwing people at the players until the players eventually run out of hit points. But if you're playing, some of the trickier combos, if you've got a life cleric with Sanctuary, who is just trying to avoid getting hit. The other person next to them is a barbarian fighter who, was built to take damage and heal themselves and protect the cleric from getting killed, who is buffing them up so that they're just not going down. It's difficult to get it to play out like that. And personally, I don't mind it at all. I'd much rather roll with the story, especially if they're especially in what are quite clearly scenes that call bullshit. That can call bullshit on those kind of moments. Yeah, and to a certain degree, I think it's setting the expectations with the players and making sure that they're going to accept that without being too disgruntled about it. But you have to set the expectation with the players, because I've had a GM who was like, oh yeah, you can do whatever you want, the story is entirely based on what you're doing, and everything is going to be dynamic and blah 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 blah, which sounds nice in theory, but then they decided that they wanted the players to be captured, and it's like, the players were sort of like not for that. They decided to put up a bit of a fight, and it escalated out of control there because the players were expecting to be given level appropriate challenges versus the enemy. So when they brought in somebody who was doing massive amounts of non-lethal damage to knock them out, it's like, I as a player, I have no choice in this. Why am I even bothering to roll die? I might as well just lie down and take it. It's removing that agency in a way that works with the players. I get what you're saying, and it's one of them where it's like, I would rather a GM be very clear and upfront as like, okay, the way that I run games are, there is going to be some scene work coming up. You're not going to be able to react to some of this, so just accept it. Or, taking weapons off players so that they're not in a combat position. You're more likely to be sort of like, yeah, you have no weapons. What are you going to do? And it's like, I'm going to put up my fist. And it's like, they have swords. They will murder you. And it's like, oh, this is bullshit. And it's like, no, it's not bullshit. You're being led into this lord's house and in the presence of a lord, and they've asked that you don't have your weapons. If you have a problem with that, you should have stayed at the door. That kind of behavior. It's one of them. It's, you know, I don't mind it when it comes from the GM who has been very much upfront about these things, rather than trying to spring it on you and pretend like you've still got a choice. That's when it annoys me. It also helps if the scene makes a little bit more sense. You know, if you see two people shooting each other in the middle of a street, and it's like, but that guy's our friend, so I want to shoot that guy. And it's like, no, you can't intervene. Why not? Because I said so? Screw it, I'm getting out a gun and shooting that guy. You can't. Doesn't really help. Unless the GM then breaks character and says, look, I need you to make this happen. It is a scene that is happening. Like I say, it is better to do these things off camera, or by placing the players in a reasonable position where they can't do something. You know, put whatever scene that you want to play out behind bulletproof glass. It's usually the book, because the book says so. Yeah, I've had to pull that one occasionally. I try to avoid because the book says so. At this point, the players will probably want to. Will they? Will they? Yeah, that's another thing where it's like, that's where it can get a little bit rough. In the Starfinder sense, where it's like, at this point the players will probably want to. It's like, you have not been clear enough in guiding the players to this conclusion. As the book as itself, trying to encourage the players to that same conclusion is part of the art of being a game master in the way that Paizo writes adventures. You know, and whenever I see the word probably in a Starfinder AP, yeah, it can be like that sometimes. I feel to a certain degree it's partly down to Paizo's fuck it, I'm going to the just talking for a bit. Partly down to the Paizo's sort of like word count for these books. It's it's not given enough pages and description to bring about the conclusion naturally in the players. And in some cases, you know, just as a GM, you just need to nudge them, and it's like, oh, don't forget you got this, or so what do you want to do from here? Because as far as I can see, you've got 2 or 3 choices. You can do this, or you can do this. By phrasing it in that way, you're limiting the choices down to what the player can do, rather than just sitting back and being sort of like, so what do you want to do? Because, especially in Starfinder, well, it's all like, what do I want to do? I believe this entire situation is bullshit. I want to get back on my ship, and I want to go home. That's not where the narrative is going. The player knows that's not where the narrative is going, but that's where the player feels like their character will want to go. Where do you take that? But if you say, you know, here's your choices as to sort of like, what is the next steps? You can check in with head honcho number 1, or you can take the initiative and follow up on this situation without them, without informing them. And the players will pick one of the 2 choices. And this is where, you know, the sort of like the whole probably thing is. And, you know, it's really bad in some of the Starfinder stuff. Dead Sons is terribly linear, which is not a terrible thing, but at the same token, it's very much, the players will probably want to, and it's like, no, you need to grab the players by the nose and drag them along the story until they get to the next plot point, at which point you can inform them through narrative that this is what they want to be doing. Ta-da, it all works. Hey, Hex Grid Heroes. And it can be awkward, and, to a certain degree, depending on your style as a GM, I very much like to give the players choices, and leave them to their own devices. The thing is, in some cases, I find players also tend to get very much of a mindset. I've not had this too bad with some of the groups that I've run, and some of the groups are okay with sort of like switching between the mindsets. But I had a group that were very much, you've got to drag them by the nose through everything. So when it came to trying to get them to explore other aspects of the game, or the situation, the campaign, I, as a GM, had to sort of like prompt them as to sort of like, these are your options. And what did they want to do? Whereas other players, where it's like, okay, this is more about what you guys are wanting to do. So if you want to do something, speak about it. Talk in character about it. And that's basically just to give me some time to allow for things to happen. But even then, occasionally you have to try to rein them in a bit if you're trying to follow a narrative. You can see this occasionally on All the Glitters Explodes, which I'll just put a quick shout out for. We're following a book, but I'm trying to let it be more of a natural experience for all the players to go ahead and do what they want, have conversations that they want, and we'll see where this ends up. And it can be awkward because the players will have a fantastic idea, but then you as a GM need to try to figure out how to incorporate that idea and bring it back into the narrative so that they don't end up wandering too far off, and the players are aware of this. It's not like we're on planet Eox, and it's like, alright, you've just arrived, you've sold the cargo, what do you want to do? You say that the worst thing that they could do is like, I've heard about the Aslanti Empire and I want to go visit there. We go on the ship and we plot a course for the Aslanti Empire, and it's like, that's not what the book is trying to suggest that you do. But okay, throw away that AP and bring out Against the Aeon Throne and see how that goes, to a certain extent. Yes, if you're doing a homebrew, which I would quite like to do at some point, I would like it to be more along the lines of the players are free to do whatever they want. The main disadvantage when it comes to Starfinder is it can quite literally be sort of like, what do you want to do? We want to go to a paradise somewhere, a world somewhere, and have a couple of weeks vacation. And it's like, okay, cool, you do that. Unless you've got anything prepared for that, then it's just going to be like, okay, you went to this world. It's a nice little planet. Like you say, it's a bit of a paradise world. It's got, the weather is fairly temperate, but it does have a few mountain ranges. It might have been terraformed to be like this, but between mountain range, snowtop mountain range, and the beach, there is less than sort of like a half-hour journey by hover car. I might be a little bit late to the convo, so forgive me if I'm repeating. But part of the player buy-in is he should be understanding the scope of the adventure. Yeah, it's the scope of the adventure. It's also so to a certain degree, it's those scenes that you're not allowed to interact with, which is what kind of brought this about. But also, when there's a discrepancy between players' knowledge and especially with written adventures as to what the players are expected to do next. I'm trying to avoid going into spoilers for pretty much any of the published APs, just in case there's somebody out there who wants to be playing one of them. But you've probably had it yourself, Hexgrid, where you've laid out a scene, asked what the players want to do, and they've decided to go after the wrong train of thinking, and it's what they want to do isn't going to help them along the narrative. And you've got a couple of choices there as to either break character and say, look, that's not going to be a thing. At this point, your players will probably want AP moments. Yeah. That's not going to lead you anywhere. Or do you allow them to go down a dead end ad nauseum until they realize that well, this isn't a thing? And yeah, players buying in, but it's also players buying into the style of a GM, as well as losing player agency for certain events happening. I think the main one that happened there, I am playing a game, there was a scene that was playing out, and Jay Station mentioned it's funny how the difference between the video game is to a tabletop game, because basically we came there was an event that happened, we couldn't intervene there, so we came running down the stairs and another event happened, and I just didn't have any choice in the matter. I'm a passenger on this story. Trying to do that at the table is all fine and well as long as the players are on board with that kind of GMing narrative style. But they have to be on board, because if they're not on board, then it is going to be so aggravating for them, because it's bullshit. Because it's like, I'm a trained soldier who has specialized in being able to react to these situations, and you're telling me I can do nothing? It can be annoying for a player. The better bet, or in my humble opinion, sometimes it's best to actually take that so that it happens off camera, and then the players can see the repercussions of that. Or, if the players are going to be there, then you put in something that prevents them from intervening. Starfinder's easy. You put up a couple of plates of bulletproof glass, nothing's getting through that, and there you go. As long as it's also not overused and it is reasonably planned for, it would be kind of silly in a way, where it's like anytime that you as a GM needed to have a scene play out where things are going to get violent so that your players don't get involved, you just always put them in the bulletproof box. Doesn't matter if they're in the middle of an open field, or in the middle of a city, or in some ancient forgotten throne room. Narrative induced helplessness, yeah. And yeah, there's ways of dealing with it, but at the same token, it's like players really do need to be on board. And one of the better things that I find, if you know that the players are going to object to not having a choice, that I ran into that feeling a lot in the Fly Free or Die. I'm guessing FFOD is fly free or die. Took me some time to learn to lean into the helplessness. I'm trying to remember Fly Free or Die is book 1. It's been a while. And so much has gone on in my brain since then. Yeah, I think there are some classes, this is in part what you mentioned. It's like, the scope, the buying in of the adventure and the scope of it. It's like, where for All the Glitters Explodes, I basically told them that this is a premise. The title of the book is We're No Heroes. So don't be making a hero. And yes, it is all like the no wins of so like do this or do this, do this or do this. The thing is, you say that there's no wins. There is a tally going on. Things aren't always as evident up front. Like with you pissed off Edge, so Edge are hunting you. You pissed off the Golden League, in part, so they're hunting you. You've chosen sides in some cases. Some of it will be irrelevant. Some of it might be relevant later on. Who knows? I know. But yeah, it's one of them, and it's trying to accept these feelings of helplessness as a player, and it can be very frustrating if it's been missold to you from the get-go. If it's just like, oh, you can go anywhere and do whatever you want. You're stranded on a planet. What do you do? It's like, get the fuck off the planet. It's like, you can't do that. Well, that's the deal. If we went into FFOD without knowledge that this is setting the scene that you're getting out of the co-op, it will be real rough. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, I try not to give too much away. But at the same token, it's all like, I sold the narrative as like, this is the overall arcing narrative. Without too much spoilers, this is book 1 where you're still working for the corporation. See how it goes. Remember, you're not heroes. Because that's the other thing. It's like, there are certain things that you could have done when it came to, when it came to the weapons trading and whether you give it to the oppressors of the refugees. You say, I don't agree with this situation. I'm just going to start gunning down hobgoblins because this is just all bullshit. And it's like, that is going to get you killed. And it's like, yeah, but, I'm playing a soldier and that's what I do. And it's like, okay. 6 minutes later, everybody's dead, and it's like, well, thank you for coming. What shall we do next week? But yeah, I do feel that, this is one of them things where it's like the importance of a session 0 and or session 0 discussions, because it doesn't have to be sit down and here's the session, here's what we're going to discuss. It can be done piecemeal as long as you're making sure that everybody is getting their fair say and getting roughly the same knowledge. Setting the scene, setting the expectations of the players is more important than insisting that it doesn't matter what you do, I'm going to try to make this as open as possible. Or the flip side, it's like, this is my story, this is my narrative. you're just along for the ride for the roller coaster, and it gets very bad if you give mixed messages. It's one of them mistakes that everybody probably makes very early on when they start playing TTRPGs, especially if everybody is new to the group, where it's like, do you want to play some D&D? Sure, I'm on board. And they ride up and they make their character, and it's like, okay, so you're in a city that doesn't allow magic. Magic is illegal, and you look at the group and it's like, so what's everybody playing? And everybody turns around and says, some kind of spellcaster. It's like, oh, you're going to have a really difficult time here because, they've got detect magic pearl posts built all around the city. If you do any of your magic abilities, then they're going to know, and there are going to be repercussions every time you cast a spell. And it's like, that's an interesting narrative. Especially if one or two people in the group are able to do magic, whether it be elvish heritage or they're playing the eldritch knight or the arcane trickster rogue. They're not mainly about the magic, but they have it there. Can make for an interesting narrative. And there's a wizard potentially where it's like, how are you going to deal with the fact that magic is legal? I'm working with that player to allow them some kind of enjoyment out of this, other than being a guy running around with a stick and 4 hit points, because that's a character they made, and without magic they're just a guy with a stick. As long as you set the scene with the players and the expectation, then it's acceptable. I think to a certain degree, there was the D&D adventure Waterdeep Dragon Heist, I think that's what it was called. It was suddenly set in Waterdeep, and in the back of the book, one of the pages is the laws of the city. And it's not no magic, it's don't kill anybody. And the book and the adventure is like, if the players kill somebody, they will be exiled from the city of Waterdeep. And so many players didn't buy into that. Some GMs didn't buy into that and said, oh, it's one of the worst books that they have ever written, because if you go by what it's outlined to be saying, there's so much that they can't do. Spellcasters are useless because they can't cast any offensive magic. If you get into a fight, the wizards are just going to sit there being useless. And it's like, that is not the case if the spellcasters are built with it in mind. But a lot of players didn't want to be non-lethal. A lot of the GMs didn't quite understand that either, and so Waterdeep, the books, got a lot of criticism because it wasn't the game that the players wanted to play or the GMs wanted to run. And that's fine. You don't have to enjoy everything. You don't have to enjoy the massive dungeon crawlers, which of Prince of the Apocalypse. You don't have to enjoy the epic tale of the dragon one that's escaping me, the Rise of Tiamat and the Dragon Queen's Horde. You don't have to enjoy the one, the Waterdeep one, where while you're in the city, there is a list of rules that you have to obey, or your character will be ejected from the game. You as a player can stay in the game, but your character will be ejected. Deal with it. You don't have to enjoy all these things. I like playing around with different concepts, so to a certain degree, The only proper adventure is that Tomb of Annihilation, the campaign book, or Tomb of Annihilation, the original sort of like. Was it the Tomb of Annihilation? I'm pretty sure that was originally an adventure. I'm only confused because you've said AP. Now, Tomb of Annihilation from the D&D, they don't call them APs, they call them campaign books. Or campaign modules. Campaign something or other. The book. So yeah, the full campaign. The 5e redo. Which is a lot more than the original document. The Tomb of Annihilation was little more than a dungeon that you could throw your players into and kill them. And that's literally all it was. It was like how to kill your players. Yeah, there was very little about that book where it was like if they fell for any one of the plethora of traps in there, they were dead. Oh yeah, no, I've read the original Tomb of Annihilation. It was literally a dungeon designed to kill people. Without going too deeply into it, there was 3 entryways. The first entryway went down a corridor, which had probably, I think, about 3 different traps. And the 2 off to the sides, one of them, when you went in there, it was arcane darkness and you fell into a pit and died. If you couldn't climb out, and these walls were sheer, and yeah, there was no reasonable way out of there for any group, so you would just eventually die of starvation. And the other entranceway to this original dungeon, once you opened up the door and stepped over the threshold, the door would seal shut and stay that way until some trigger could be pulled deeper in the dungeon. And that was it. That was just getting into the dungeon. 2 of the doors were traps that were your character is now dead or rendered useless for a majority of this book. But yeah, so I do think that the main things are make sure you're clear with the players what the expectations are. Don't be annoyed if a player turns around and goes, yeah, that's not really what I'm after in an adventure. Thank you for inviting me, but bye. Because not every adventure has to be tailored for them. You will get that no matter which book you choose or which adventure path you choose. There is going to be a player who it's not quite what they want, and you can't really do anything about that, so just accept it and move on. Itchy back. Anyway, right, I am going to get back to the game. I've talked far too long on that. And everybody's still dead. Hello. Lady Webb lies still in her bed, an ornate cushion propping her back upright. The blood pooled beneath a gash in her chest is tacky and nearly dry. Shattered glass rests on the floor beneath her dangling hand. You feel the faint aura of her fading essence in your ken. Reach out for it. You make contact and are immersed in a torrent of sensory input and experience. When it calms, you find yourself in the same room, lying in bed with a glass of brandy in your hand. Though the walls from the street outside come with the sound of screams and shattering glass, and the cacophony of an angry mob. You take a sip and it warms your gullet. Have I been double-crossed? Across the room, the door opens behind a patient, steady push. Into the room walks Theos, the floorboards creaking beneath deliberate steps. You wait until the last of the brandy has trickled down your throat before you begin and before you speak.
I was a fool to think I could tame these people.
You came closer than most.
A fine epitaph.
No worse than any.
You are concentrating, focusing with all your energy. It feels as though you are diving into a stone wall over and over. But it cracks suddenly, unexpectedly, allowing the vague wisp of thought to leak through.
What's in Twin Elms?
Did you pull that from my thoughts?
I've had time to practice.
He walks over to a small table and raises a half-empty brandy bottle to eye level. He seems to approve of the selection and begins to reach for an empty glass.
I was saving that for someone.
Pity. You know this is how it has to be.
He replaces the brandy bottle on the table with care before approaching the bedside. He sits on the edge of the bed next to you. His words come freely, absent of all doubt. He draws a long, curved knife from his belt, smeared with fresh blood. With his left hand, he gently pins your sternum as he rises the knife in the other, its point dangling above your heart.
Prove it.
Theos slips the knife between your ribs and pushes it through. Layers of tissue separate with brittle, papery stiffness, and blood wells up around the blade. A pulse of reflex causes you to drop your glass to the floor, and you hear it shatter. With the last of your strength, you take his knife hand in both of yours, a question radiant in your mind. For an instant, you see great surprise. The pathway into his mind is left open to you, unguarded, and the answer comes. Simple, cataclysmic in its reordering of your thoughts. As Lady Webb, you feel as though you have an answer you've searched for all your life, but in your own mind, her understanding lies just below your reach. You look at Theos with wide eyes of someone seeing for the first time and draw your last breath as a black velvety darkness descends over you.
Smoke rises above the city walls in billowing plumes that blacken the sky like a storm. Behind the walls, the riots rage on. Known patrons of Animancy are forced into hiding as looters ransack their estates and make off with their possessions. Animancers are torn away from their families and dragged from their homes to be stoned to death in the streets. Word had spread immediately that Duke Avar had been assassinated, and that an Animancer was to blame. The city wasted little time in exacting revenge, and little effort into evaluating guilt. In the center of it all, Brackenberry Sanitarium burned. And down the lane, Hodred House, the last bastion of stability in the Deerwood, had fallen silent. Now safely outside the city gate, your path points eastward to Twin Elms, where Theos is bound, for reasons that remain mysterious as the leaden key itself.
And so ends Act 2. I did wonder why I couldn't get to Twin Elms before. Assassin at Large travelled to Twin Elms. I mean, I don't know how I'm supposed to get there, per se. I should probably go take care of the thing. As you cross the bridge, Aleph draws up beside you. The fires of Defiance Bay cast a shivering, flickering light across a half of his face. The other is in darkness.
Please stop. I need to tell you something.
Don't tell me you've got another personality tucked away in there. Go ahead.
I have not been entirely honest about my motives for traveling with you up to this point. When I finished my training in Adir, I was introduced to an organization. All I knew was that they were opposed to the unchecked spread of Animancy, and that they could guarantee me postings far away from the Seathwood my father and his Earl. At that time, it was enough. In the early years, I thought of them as many things. Hooded men, prudent teachers, the leaden key. Their rules were strict, but their guidance was clear. I sincerely believe they wanted to keep Kith from the folly of their own foolish ambitions. I came to the Deerwood a little over a year ago. My orders were to gather information on Animancy in the region. A senior contact met with me every few months to receive my reports and issue new leads. She sent me to Gilded Vale to keep an eye on events surrounding the local lord, but I lost track of her shortly after that. I don't know if she was reassigned, killed, or sacrificed the way you saw. At the time you met me, I'd been on my own for a couple of months.
What did you want from me?
I needed some kind of direction. After that scrape with the locals, I was ready to get out of town. But then you mentioned that you'd survived that Beowick, and I thought you might be able to put me back on the Leaden Keys trail. And I was correct in a way. What we found wasn't what I expected. I knew the Leaden Key was trying to stop Animancy, but I didn't realize how far they'd gone. Murder, sabotage, abandoning entire districts to shambling horrors. And now the whole city is up in flames. I'm still not sure about Animancy, but I know I've been following the wrong master. Please, accept my apology, and my service. Let me fight with you to stop Theos.
And what do you really expect us to do with this too-late confession? Trust you on your word?
Pelagina shakes her feathered head and holds her hand out towards Aleph as though framing him in her view. The corners of Agni's eyes crinkle. A team can't survive without trust. All the same, I think he means it, Kasha. I still feel kind of attached, even with the betrayal. He's got a way of taking offense that I really like. Tough one. I forgive you, Aleph, but I want you beside me, not behind me. I'm not asking you to trade one master for another.
That would be an honor.
Then let us go. So this is one of the things where it's like, I know that I could just plow on with the plot, but I'm not. I'm enjoying this game. And as much as it's one of them where it's like, this is the wrong place. This isn't my castle at all. This is somebody else's. This is my castle. It's one of them where it's like, I'm enjoying this game and it's not feeling too long in the tooth. Like Pathfinder Kingmaker once did.
I must say, I'm impressed.
I love this. It's like a security report that letting key agents will attack the stronghold in 6 days. You ignore the supplicant and he leaves the stronghold. Which supplicant was that? Oh. I mean, that was very quick. He gave me a day. The supplicant arrived from Dryford village seeking 850 copper or an escort. And then left. I mean, give me a bleeding chance. Word is Soma the Shackler is quite furious. No, I'm pretty sure Soma the Shackler is dead. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Soma the Shackler was executed. He's not furious, he's dead. Resolve attack. Leaden key agents have infiltrated the stronghold and will attack the Great Hall soon. I mean, I should probably go deal with part of that. Probably. So he's dead furious. But, did I finish? I think I might have missed the finishing of these training grounds. I don't think I'm currently working on anything. Anyhow, from the top, +1, +1. Oh, okay, so we got a +1, +2 in towers, or a +1/+1 with the craft hall. We go with the +1, +2 of the towers. That'll be ready in 3 days. They'll attack in 5, and we'll have bumped tower security up to a 43. I don't know if the game was expecting this. Supplicant ignored. You barely gave me a bleeding chance, game. I know that I went the wrong way. Might have helped if I actually came here first. Whoops. Oh.
Say what you want about Dear Woodens, but they haven't met the problem yet they couldn't solve by killing some scapegoats.
He flashes a hollow smile. You fight for people because you think you see something that deserves defending. Even more so because someone you trust sees it too. Then you turn around and they do something like this, and the person who made you feel, who made you want to help is gone. You weren't really fighting for all of them, though. Yeah, just the ones I liked then. Maybe. Maybe. It'd be nice if you got to choose. Tell the lowlights if you die, that it won't be for their sorry hides. Never thought I'd find myself missing the hospitality back home.
Hey.
Hey. It is time, Marshal. Assemble the army and march to Yenwood Field. Excellent. Morale is high and the troops are eager to follow you to glory. Are you certain you wish to march? I'm sure. Give the order. As you command. We'll march the army to Yenwood Field. You will be accompanying us? Yes, let's march. We're off to Yenwood Field to defeat Lord Gathbin. I mean, most of the city is in ruins, so nobody's around left to tell me off. I don't actually know how much I'll be interacting with this. It's it's army combat in a game that doesn't really usually involve army combat. As you crest the small hill overlooking Yenwood Field, Lord Gathbin's army is a flurry of activity, scurrying to and fro. Even from this distance you can hear the drums of war, beating their steady cadence, designed to intimidate their foes while organising the rank and file into battle formations. Marshal Thornworth approaches. You've arrived just in time. Lord Gathbin's forces are beginning to move. An attack is imminent. Inspect your forces. Local militia constitutes the majority of the army, but veteran soldiers have organised the ranks and walk among the young, unseasoned warriors, offering advice or occasional jokes. They cheer, striking sword to shield as you pass, a thunderous approval of their lord. Among the troops is a small group of warriors. A small group of warriors shine brighter than the others. The Crucible Knights, standing tall in gleaming plate armor and armed with spear and shield. They stand to attention. Spear centered as you pass. Any idea what Gathbin is planning? Marshal Thornworth strokes his chin. His ultimate objective is to face you in battle and to see you defeated. And to be seen defeating you. I doubt he is foolish enough to challenge you to single combat, of course. Sound the horn, Marshal Thornworth. It is time to finish this. Marshal Thornworth begins barking orders and your troops quickly form up. Gathbin's army follows suit as Adrian war drums echo across the field. Some of these are very crude. Tonight the ravens will feast on our enemies while we drink fucking revel in our inglorious victory. Okay. Something you could say as a war chant, I suppose. Within a few moments the marshal raises a brass horn in the visage of a mighty boar to his lips. He looks at you expectantly. Just nod. Yeah, sure, why not? Fossade Newer. Your troops bellow across the field, pounding weapons to shield as the marshal's horn sounds. Dozens of bowstrings twang in unison behind you as archers unleash a hail of arrows at Gathbin's army. The missiles hiss through the air with deadly accuracy, felling scores of enemies. In a bold move, Gathbin points his sword towards your position, giving an unheard order. His infantry, shield raids, charge the field. Your infantry charges headlong into enemy infantry in the center of the field. A cacophonous sound of metal on metal is nearly deafening as the two forces collide. The fighting is fierce and the screams of dying numerous. Led by veteran warriors rallied to your cause, the troops fight valiantly and appear to be holding the ground. The battle thus appears to be a stalemate. Then a group of Adrian battle mages emerges from behind the enemy lines. They begin waving their hands in unison with practiced precision. Suddenly, waves of arcane fire erupt amongst your troops. The acrid smell of smoke and burning flesh is nearly overwhelming. From the left flank, a unit of Arounti berserkers, clad in plate armor and wielding greatswords, begins to collapse the left side of the line. The ground is thick with the dead as they press their advantage. Meanwhile, bleak walker paladins dressed in dark armor, carrying sword and shield, stride back and forth behind Gathbin's lines, rallying his warriors and exhorting them to fight harder. As the battle rages, Marshal Forthwind looks to you for orders. Study the battlefield. Your troops fight bravely. Your lines are holding for the moment. Gathbin's army is slowly pushing you back. The casualties are mounting. Defeat is likely. Maybe I should have saved before doing this? We need to deal with those battle mages. What is your plan, Lord Kashra? Send in the Crucible Knights. The Knights lock shield and drive forward in a wedge formation through the enemy lines. The formation allows them to penetrate the line quickly but leads to heavy losses. As they reach the battle mages, the formation falls apart. The battle mages cease their magical attacks against your lines, but as the remaining knights put them to the sword. But as you fear, the maneuver has sealed a grisly fate for the last of your knights. As the battle rages, Marshal Forthwind looks at you for orders. Defeat is still likely. Generals get no save points, only the weight of the dead. The Bleak Walkers must die. I have no options. We have no available allies to throw against them. Our only hope is to break through Gathbin's line and kill him. Everyone and me! Charge! As the remainder of your forces charge, a horn sounds in the distance. A new contingent of warriors crests a nearby hill. As Gathbin's reinforcements charge headlong into the fray, his other troops cheer triumphantly. Uh-oh. The new arrivals join quickly up with Gathbin's army. You make out the former Captain Emery leading the charge in her dark armor. She kills one of your troops with a well-aimed pistol shot before running through another with a gleaming rapier. She kills foe after foe, and at one point, with the dead piled around her, she seems to face you across the battlefield and shrug. As the battle rages, your forces fight valiantly, pressing ever forward. Casualties on both sides are high, and victory remains elusive for either side. Kashra, Lord Gathbin, strides through the carnage, his elite guard accompanying him. We both knew it must come to this. Come now, and I will put you down like the dog that you are. Salute Gathbin with your weapon. I mean... Oh shit. Alright folks, it's time to do the impossible. Charge at them, maybe, perhaps? Thank you. Time to make with a murder. I don't have to kill everybody on the field, I just need to kill that guy. It's been a good run. I mean, it's not lost yet. I think he's dead. Did we kill him? There we go. Grieving mother killed Lord Gathman. So now all I need to do is survive this. Could you guys murder this guy?
Can't get a good shot with this. Yeah.
I appreciate I'm not talking as much as I possibly should, but I am trying to figure out how to not die. Oh wait, no, not that one.
Ready, Watcher.
How you doing? You're doing fine. Oh, the worm's target is down. We have suffered terrible, terrible losses, even if we do win today. It's all gone a bit Warhammer. Target destroyed Pelegane. Okay. Oh, you're doing not too bad over there. Low endurance, the grieving mother. Okay, you need to back up. You need to step up. Run away! Run away! Oh, the worms have taken care of that archer. Can you take care of that berserker?
Yes.
Continue running away. Oh, just got KO'd. Okay, great stuff. Right. More dragons! Well, worms. Could you Like, not. Oh, Pelican's out. Lost a worm. More worms. I don't think I'm winning this one. Radio, got a look. For the last half hour or so, I use the explain, but it doesn't matter anyway. Lol. Lol. Damn it. Lol. I mean, I think this is going to end up in a reload anyway. I'm not sure what other factions I was supposed to bring to this battle. I'm guessing that I was supposed to bring more than just these guys.
Shot with this. Ready, watch.
Come on, Will-o'-the-Wisps, you can do this. Just... yeah, we're screwed. Run away!
You cannot venture forth while in combat.
No, I'm pretty sure I can just run away. Leave me alone. Your lord is dead. I killed him.
You cannot venture forth while in combat.
I'm no longer in combat. I'm running away. Brave Sir Robin ran away. Okay, so we're going to go back to the Great Hall. I don't think then is the time that I should be doing that battle. I don't know when the time should be. It's one of them where it's like, gather your allies. And I'm pretty sure he said that we were looking good for this. Lord Gaffney's army grows. Don't ignore this threat. Let's talk about my army. What's the status of my regular troops? As good as can be, given the circumstances. With your willingness to spend coin, you should attract some veteran warriors as well. They'll be useful for their experience, and will help morale if the situation becomes dire. Great stuff. What special allies? The Crucible Knights will reinforce your inventory. Okay, that's all for now. Very well. It is time, Marshal. Assemble the army and march to field Yenwood. Excellent. Morale is high and your troops are eager to follow you to glory. Are you certain you wish to march? On second thoughts, let's hold off for now. Because it's just suicide. Apparently. Oh, I got... So what is this? Ooh. Oh, maximum health and endurance. That's not useful. You don't want maximums. Oh, I know. I kind of want to give that to the person who sneaks around. And boots. Boots are... Exalted Hands. Friendly target plus 53 endurance over 5 seconds. Foe target push 3 meters, stunned for 5 seconds. It's not really all that great. Yeah, have some boots. They're not terrible. So, right. The London key agents have infiltrated the stronghold and will attack the Great Hall shortly. Manual resolve? Oh, yes, now I remember. You click on this and you get into a tiny little fight outside. Oh no, inside. Murder the agents. Ta-da! Do kind of wonder if you jumped on it straight away and was like, okay, yes, let's do this straight away. I've got my troops, I've spent the money, I've gathered together the Crucible Knights, because I think I'd managed to do that pretty much by the early point in all of this. And then just gone straight out to the fight. It's like, would it have been different? Would it have been a cakewalk? I don't know. Could be interesting to find out / see. But as it stands, that was a terrible, terrible idea. Craghold Bluffs. Let's go here. Let's see if this is now doable. The end of this stream is probably just me going to a bunch of different places to see if I can resolve it. Oh yes, here. I arrived here, fought 2 people, difficult fight, ran away. Bubbles rise from the depths of this murky, sludgy stew. A few bones in the pot have been picked clean. They float amidst the swirling globules of grease.
Where they be?
Get on.
You stabbed me! You ran up to me and stabbed me! Okay, so this is slightly more doable.
You're not getting through me.
Oh! They just got knocked the fuck out. Yeah, this is another place where I probably shouldn't be just yet. Run away! No. It's one of them. So I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn off air, and right, the Battle of Yenwood Field isn't going to happen. The Siege of Cragholt isn't going to happen. Cinders of Faith, I don't know where that cave is. Children of the Five Sons, it's in Twin Elms, which I'm supposed to be going to anyway. Far From Home is not one that I'm willing to do. Sangi wants to go to a cliff near an ocean. Don't know where that is. Master Below, not doing at this time. Find the ruins beneath Sade Newer, not doing at this time. Trials of Durance, continue to get to know Durance. I've benched him. I don't like him. The White March is probably going to go the same way as this area, so probably going to leave that for now. So we're going to go try and find the Twin Elms. Is it this path that I'm trying to go after? It's one of them. You're guessing on an overhead map that is only a theoretical map. It's not a clear and distinct map. I thought I'd come down this cliff. Cliffs by water? No, this is just a gorge. Still, we'll check along the edge of the gorge just in case it is the place that I want to be. I saw a butterfly. Still don't know much about this place. Wasn't this thing flooded before? Don't remember it being able to get down here. I would have thought I would have come down here if I could have. Let's go find out what's in the hole in the ground. And Wigan symbols are worn and faded, but the words strike a familiar chord. Duty before self. The stairs have collapsed, leaving a long drop to the floor below. Leave. You hear grating and grinding coming from the stone head above you. The chips of Eldra in its eye sockets glow bright green. A voice deep and resonant echoes from the stone mouth. What begins as a garbled language resolves itself into your own mother tongue. There is no truer blade than essence forged in bronze. Turn twice to the left and prepare your soul for its reckoning. Alright, creepy stonehead. So turn twice to the left and prepare your soul. I'm assuming that was the first left and that's a second. And so my soul should now be prepared. I'm not quite sure what kind of preparing I'm supposed to be doing. I am getting murdered by the shadow.
Yeah.
Run away! Hide towards the back and shoot that guy. There we go. That's not a happy place to be. I just got KO'd.
Got an arrow to this one.
Oh, that's one of my worms. Okay.
That's not very helpful.
There we go. Flawless victory. Approach and make yourself known to me.
Hey.
In one moment, just preparing my soul. Marinated in butter.
Hey.
The stone face's Adra eyes glow, and a voice rumbles from its open mouth. The past is the hilt of a weapon. The true warrior grasps it and knows her strength. Speak the quality that defines you. I am consistent and reliable. I can work through any obstacle with patience and dedication. So it is with your power. The symbol burns on the wall behind the stone head.
All right then.
Stonehead is silent, its Adra eyes have dulled.
I'll see what I can find.
Look at that, just the creepiest little noise. I think that's 4 shadows. Yeah, 4 of them. Oh, and a Gala. And some surprise shadows. Great stuff. I'll just murder that one. Oh, people are paralyzed. Great stuff. Is there anybody who is not paralyzed?
You're not getting through me.
Can we make with the murder already?
This thing.
Murder anybody would be appreciated.
That's not very helpful. Can't get a good shot like this.
Approach and speak your will. As the green light spills from the relief's eyes, you hear another deep, rough-edged voice. Desire is the aim of the soul. It is purpose and direction, the sharpened point of a blade. Speak your ambition that your soul may strike true. I would inspire those around me and lend my strength to our common purpose. So it shall be. A symbol glows to life on the wall. It pulses with light, smothering the lichen-covered wall. A vessel of flesh may house a soul for years, but a vessel of bronze will house a soul for generations. Enter the water and choose a vessel of stone. Small white stones bloom from the rock. They feel firmly fixed in place, but there's a hollow where one appears to have been removed.
Were they build on
Leave it to me!
That's it!
You feel an unwelcoming crawling sensation in your head. A high-pitched ring overwhelms your senses and is accompanied by an angry utterance. Invader, thief. The voice is alien and fierce, jolting through your mind like lightning. Needles stab at your brain with every syllable, but vanish abruptly along with the words. The ringing in your head is gone. A cylindrical hollow, scarcely wider than the shaft of the weapon, runs through the center of the pedestal. The serpentine symbols and icons of Engwith engraved into the floor resolve into words in your mind. The warrior shall call forth 2 witnesses, and they shall take up positions upon the emblems that bear testament to the character of his soul. The warrior shall ascend the dais, soul vessel in hand, to undergo transference. Bearing his soul vessel and a weapon with the heart of Adra, the warrior may then approach the urn. In this way, he shall fashion an arm worthy of his skills and ambitions. I'm doing what now?
Hey. All right, then.
I'm ready. Ah.
Yes? Yes? Hey. All right, then.
Yes.
I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be here yet, or doing a thing. Widen the. This large tunnel curves underneath the floor and continues to the east. It is blocked by glistening ropes of webbing that you might be able to slide past. The wall beneath the webbing feels weak and crumbly. With the proper tools, you might be able to widen the passage. Widen the tunnel with hammer and chisel. You find a weak spot in the rock and hammer into the walls of the passage. The brittle stone crumbles away. Within minutes, you've created enough room to slip through the tunnel. As you clear a passage, a needle-like voice digs into your skull once more. Infiltrating, pursuing, you shall not have it. You hear a hungering chittering. Now feed. Chittering creatures with gashing mandibles pour from the walls. I mean... Putting on my TTPRB settings, we're going to encounter a couple of waves of these and then end up having to kill a big one.
Of course.
Enter the tunnel. Oh, the spider had loot. Shattered crystals crunches and tinkles underfoot. I'm guessing clicking on that is the way back. Well, that ain't creepy at all. Near deck, a robed and gangling creature lurches towards you, and you feel something needling at your brain again. The screeching hiss that invades your mind is edged with rage. Digging and ferreting animal. It pauses, its mouthpiece is clacking. When its words fill your mind again, it is tempered with fear. My legacy. It clutches an egg-like stone in its spindly fingers. The white stone aglow with life, and you feel a presence inside. The creature notices your interest. For the colony. It cocks its head. Animal calm, peaceful, yes. Its thoughts echo back at you from within the stone. It occurs to you that a piece of the creature's soul is somehow housed within it. What are you doing with that stone? Such a different form, and yet its mind is alive with the same thoughts as ours. She closes her eyes. Home, family, memory, legacy, colony. Segmented mouthpieces scrape together. Young are her always few, slow to hatch, fragile. The creature indicates itself with its hairy appendage. Last of colony, soon to die. It draws the stone closer to its narrow chest. Long dead animals put spirit stuff in metal. It points behind it. I keep spirit stuff in stone. Take to new colony. Colony alone is weak, young, frail, empty of wisdom. But two colonies together survive, make strong colony. It strokes the stone. Need legacy to guide new colony. Keep it strong. Go, and may there be peace between our kinds. Its black and blinking eyes stare back at you. Warm relief gushes into your mind. No peace and gentleness it does. Nidrek go, bring legacy. Many thanks. That is several shades of what the fuck? You feel an Adrakor running through this weapon. Which I think is what I needed for the heebie-jeebie ceremony. Into the tunnel. Right, so I want you to stand there, and you to stand over there. And for me to be gripping the weapon. And I stand over here. The warrior shall call forth 2 witnesses. Yep, and yep. Take up positions on the emblems that bear testament to the character's soul. The warrior shall ascend the dais, soul vessel in hand, to undergo transference. Bearing his soul vessel and a weapon with the heart of Eldra, the soul warrior may approach the urn. In this way he shall fashion an arm worthy of his skills and ambitions. Okay, so I need a vessel. This is a thing that I need to do up here. And then come down and loot this thing. Okay. So not quite there yet.
Hey.
Everybody, we need a soul vessel. Does anybody know what one of them looks like? Anybody? No? Okay. Yo, dead people, do you have a soul vessel? Sugar. Money. Stick. Gonna go with a no on the vessel now. Spectres. Kill them quicker, my friends. Oh, they've stopped spawning in. Okay. They really don't like me in this place. I am not in a happy place. Not in a happy place. Not in a happy place. Please just be unconscious. No, don't go towards them. Move away from them. You are near dead, my avatar. "32 hit points is not a happy number."
Hey. All right then.
The symbols here catch the light from the braziers. All honor to those who have given themselves to the glory of the Engwith. The pale stones around the room look dull and lifeless. I didn't see a soul vessel lying around. I wonder if it's downstairs. But yeah, I mentioned Horizon Zero Dawn and then totally lost track of what I was going to say. I'm going to be calling the stream roughly here, so let's save. End of session 17. Still not quite sure what I'm supposed to be doing, apart from maybe killing off the leaden key. I think that's a thing. Don't know how that's going to resolve itself. Should be interesting. But yeah, I mentioned Horizon Zero Dawn because it's got that one feature that I like in a quest journal, and everything that you do, it gives you a little number that just tells you what level you're expected to be when you do it. There's nothing stopping you from attempting it early. Nothing stopping you whatsoever. Levels don't actually really contribute to much. They do help a little bit. You've got certain abilities that you can get. There's certain places that you can go that will get you slightly better equipment, but it's not flawless equipment. It's not like your equipment is everything. Your levels give you like 10 hit points and skills. So, you know, in theory, I don't see it being impossible. I see it being very difficult. If you were to leave the starting area at, say, level 10 and run straight into an area that's recommended level 20, and with practice and persistence, you can succeed. But because of the levels are there as a guideline, you don't kind of get as overwhelmed as my group is getting, because it's like, I've got these quests, they've been in my journal for a while. Can I do them? Can I? It was like, because the enemies are way outside of my level and they're just mopping me up, and I don't know what they are level wise, because the game doesn't tell you, and it's just a little bit annoying because I'm having to go in and it's like, can I do this yet? No. Can I do this yet? No. Can I do this yet? No. Would have just taken a little number just by the side of each quest saying recommended level or the current difficulty, because Borderlands has that. As you're gathering up quests, it doesn't tell you what level you should be or what level you're expected to be. It's just like, it tells you that this quest is going to be very hard, challenging, normal or average, easy or trivial. And it primes you a little bit, and you sort of like look at your journal and it's like, I don't really fancy going that much of a challenge, just going to go for the average to difficult. But yeah, it's just that one little feature that I wish that a lot of CRPGs had, because it's just damn confusing. And it's, yes, okay, it gives a little bit of away, and it's unrealistic in the fact that you know when it comes to real life and immersion, it's like you don't get told these things ahead of time, which is fair enough. But with the way that it's been laid out, it's like I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing when I've got all of these options. And would it really have broken the immersion that much to basically just like put a little number there? I don't feel that it does. Anyway, it is now 9 o'clock. I am starving because I've started cooking, and unfortunately cooking takes time that I don't have to do before, or I don't have time before I have to stream on Tuesdays. So I am going to wrap up here and then go find some food. I am just looking as to who to raid on Twitch, although Twitch has decided to have a moment. We are going to raid Krifu Banal, who is playing some Pathfinder solo. Raid Krifu Banal. I do hope you'll join me on the raid. Other parts to wrap up. I've been Cameron Russmore. This has been Pillars of Eternity Session 17. I'll be back on Thursday playing Pillars of Eternity Session 18. No, I won't. I might be back on Thursday. I've not decided yet. One of the things that is going to be happening on Thursday, however, is I am going to be joining Magcat over on his channel as he does a fortnightly game of Mech Warrior 5 Mercenaries. It's only going to be for a couple of hours over on his channel. I'm going to be joining them there, and that kind of overlaps with my usual stream time, so I'm not sure if I'm going to run a shorter stream time on Thursdays or just give up on the Thursdays altogether and watch other people stream, because a lot of people stream on the Thursdays. It's only every other week, so I'll be back, you know, next week on Thursday I'll be back playing Pillars of Eternity. Next Tuesday I'll be back playing Pillars of Eternity, and this Friday starting a new game. I finished Prey last Friday. So this Friday, going into Alien Isolation, which is a terrible idea. I keep on insisting it's a terrible idea, but I'm doing it anyway. I will be joined with, hopefully with, on Friday with JStation64 and Mancat_UK in the Peanut Gallery. For the first and only session. But yes, that's what I stream. Oh, you can also usually find me over on Manapot Studios on a Monday, where I run a Starfinder Adventure Path game called Fly Free or Die. Let's actually get some links out in this. Thank you, Magcat. And also, you can find me and the rest of the people who I generally stream with over in the Stumbled In, a Discord server that we've set up for like-minded people. So thank you, Magcat, again for that link going into chat. So yeah, I hope to see you there. And if nothing else, I am now going to be raiding. If you'd like to join in the raid, would be much appreciated. If not, hope to see you all next time. And until then, tidy bye.